Right now, as you are listening to this, there is a part of your brain that is constantly scanning for danger. Not physical danger, but social danger. The fear of saying the wrong thing, the fear of sounding stupid, the fear of going blank when someone is waiting for your answer. This fear activates faster than logic, faster than confidence, and faster than preparation. And when it does, something strange happens. Your thoughts stop flowing in order. Your words lose structure. You start talking, but you are no longer in control of what comes out. This is what rambling really is. It is not a communication problem. It is a brain problem. Most people believe rambling happens because they are bad speakers or because they do not think fast enough. That belief is wrong. Rambling happens because the brain enters a survival state. When pressure appears, your nervous system does not care about sounding clear or intelligent. It cares about escaping discomfort. So it pushes words out quickly, hoping something will stick. The more you try to force clarity, the more chaotic your thinking becomes. This is why telling yourself to calm down never works. A panicked brain cannot calm itself using logic. If you have ever walked away from a conversation, thinking you said too much, explained things poorly, or lost control of your message, this video is for you. And before we go any further, if this problem feels familiar, pause for a second and leave a simple comment saying, "I struggle with this." Not for anyone else. Just as a signal to yourself that you are aware of what is happening. Awareness is where control begins. To understand how to stop rambling, you must first understand what pressure does to the brain. Pressure is interpreted as a threat. Even if you are not in danger, your brain reacts as if you are. Heart rate increases. Breathing becomes shallow. The part of the brain responsible for planning and organizing language becomes less active. At the same time, the emotional centers of the brain become dominant. This shift is automatic. It is not a choice. It is biology. When this happens, your brain stops prioritizing clarity and starts prioritizing speed. The goal becomes filling silence rather than delivering meaning. Silence feels dangerous because silence creates judgment. Judgment feels like rejection. So your brain talks to protect you. Ironically, this protection is what causes the problem in the first place. Rambling is not random. It follows a predictable pattern. First, pressure appears. Then your brain tries to retrieve the perfect response. When it cannot find it quickly, panic increases. To escape that panic, your brain releases unfiltered thoughts. You speak before thinking, not because you want to, but because your nervous system is trying to regain control. The more you speak, the less control you feel. And the cycle continues. This is why preparation alone does not solve the problem. You can know your subject well and still ramble under pressure. You can be intelligent and still lose clarity in the moment. The issue is not knowledge. The issue is regulation. Until your brain feels safe, it will not organize thoughts properly. Calming your brain is not about slowing your speech. It is about slowing the threat response. When the threat response quiets down, clarity returns naturally. This is an important shift in thinking. You are not trying to control your words. You are trying to stabilize your nervous system. Think about the times when you speak clearly and confidently. Those moments usually happen when you feel relaxed, familiar with the environment, or emotionally safe. The same brain that rambles under pressure speaks beautifully when it is calm. That means clarity is already there. It is not missing. It is just blocked. In the next parts of this video, you will learn how to calm the brain in real time. Not through tricks or memorized lines, but by working with how the brain actually functions under pressure. You will understand how to interrupt the panic loop, how to regain control of your thinking, and how to speak with structure even when you are put on the spot. This is not about becoming a perfect speaker. It is about becoming a regulated one. And once your brain learns that pressure does not equal danger, rambling loses its power. To truly stop rambling, you need to understand what part of the brain is active when pressure hits. Under normal conditions, the prefrontal cortex helps you organize thoughts, choose words, and form structured sentences. This part of the brain works best when you feel safe. When pressure increases, activity shifts away from the prefrontal cortex and toward more primitive survival systems. These systems are fast, emotional, and reactive. The brain does not make this switch because you are weak. It makes this switch because it is efficient. In stressful situations, the brain assumes speed matters more than precision. This assumption was useful thousands of years ago when hesitation could mean danger. But in modern conversations, this same mechanism creates confusion instead of protection. When the survival system takes over, working memory becomes limited. Working memory is what allows you to hold an idea in your mind while forming the next sentence. When working memory shrinks, thoughts feel slippery. You start one idea and forget where you were going halfway through. To compensate, the brain adds more words, hoping to cover the gap. This is why rambling feels uncontrollable. You are not choosing to add extra information. Your brain is trying to stay afloat. Another factor is self-monitoring. Under pressure, people become hyper-aware of how they are being perceived. This self-monitoring consumes mental resources. Instead of focusing on what you want to say, you start thinking about how you sound while you are speaking. This splits attention and further reduces clarity. The brain cannot perform well when it is constantly checking itself. Breathing also plays a role. Shallow breathing signals danger to the nervous system. When breathing is shallow, the body remains in a heightened state of alert. This keeps the brain locked in survival mode. Calm breathing sends the opposite signal. It tells the brain that the environment is safe enough to slow down. Most people try to fix rambling at the level of speech. They try to speak slower or choose better words. But speech is the output. The real control point is internal. When you regulate the internal state, the output changes automatically. This is why calming the brain must come before organizing language. If you attempt structure while your nervous system is activated, it will feel forced and unnatural. Once the nervous system settles, structure emerges on its own. Pressure itself is not the enemy. The interpretation of pressure is. When pressure is seen as a threat, the brain reacts defensively. When pressure is seen as information, the brain stays flexible. This shift in interpretation takes practice, but it is possible. In high-pressure moments, the goal is not to impress. The goal is to stabilize. Stability creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. Confidence reduces pressure. This is the loop you want to build. At this point, you may be noticing something important. Rambling is not a flaw in your personality. It is a temporary state. And like any state, it can be changed. The brain is constantly adapting based on experience. When you repeatedly calm your nervous system during pressure, your brain learns that speaking does not equal danger. Think about the last time you rambled. What triggered it? Was it a sudden question? A feeling of being judged? A moment where you felt unprepared? Now think about what your body felt like in that moment. Tight chest, fast breathing, racing thoughts. These physical sensations came before the rambling. The words were just the result. If you could go back to that moment and calm your body first, how different would the outcome be? What would happen if instead of rushing to speak, you allowed a brief pause? What would happen if you accepted silence instead of fighting it? Silence feels uncomfortable, but it is not dangerous. In fact, silence often increases authority. Here is an important question to reflect on as you watch this. When you feel pressure to speak, are you trying to communicate, or are you trying to escape discomfort? This question changes everything. When the goal is escape, rambling follows. When the goal is communication, clarity has room to appear. Awareness creates choice. Choice creates control. Control creates calm. And calm allows your natural intelligence to come forward. You do not need to become someone else to stop rambling. You need to stop fighting your nervous system. As you continue watching, pay attention to how your understanding of rambling is changing. Does it feel less personal, less shameful, less permanent? That shift alone reduces pressure. And reduced pressure changes behavior. Stopping rambling is not about memorizing scripts or learning tricks. It is about building a relationship with your brain. A relationship based on trust instead of fear. When your brain trusts that you are safe, it supports you. When it feels threatened, it takes control away from you. Every time you successfully calm yourself under pressure, you are teaching your nervous system a new pattern. Over time, this pattern becomes automatic. The brain stops jumping into survival mode so quickly. Pauses feel natural instead of scary. Thoughts arrive in order instead of all at once. Progress does not look dramatic. It looks quiet. It looks like fewer moments of panic, shorter episodes of rambling, faster recovery when pressure hits. These small changes compound. And one day, you realize that the thing that once controlled you no longer has the same power. If this video helped you understand what is really happening in your brain when you ramble, consider subscribing. This channel focuses on explaining the mind in a calm, practical way, without hype or fear. And before you go, I would like to ask you something. Do you think rambling comes more from fear of judgment or fear of silence? Share your opinion in the comments. Your answer might help someone else realize they are not alone. And remember, clarity is not something you force. It is something you allow once your brain feels safe.